Montoya has received.
He has been absolutely untouchable this year. Fabulous. But here, I can't explain it to you so far. Yesterday, he wasn't going all that fast, Brian.
Yeah, but you figured yesterday he would be strong in qualifying. He was down near the bottom of the top 10. Any particular problem?
I can't find any. The team is just not clicking. Monan, the guy that brains on that team, has just not got it together, because we know it can't be Montoya's fault.
Now, when you talk about Toronto, the only multiple winners, your nephew Al Jr., we'll talk about his problems later. Michael Andretti, a 5-time winner, always a factor here.
Always a factor here. Michael likes this racetrack, somewhat like little Al, which we'll talk about that later, as you said. But Michael will be fast. Michael will be a really good contender race day, and he's been fast in practice and yesterday's qualifying.
Now, how about the driver from Scotland? You once said to me, Brian, I can't believe that boy. He's Scottish, and he's got the Italian accent, or he's Italian with a Scottish accent. I'm not sure how you phrased it, but you like Franchitti.
Before this season started, Dario Franchitti was my choice to lead every race this year, possibly, and for sure to win a bunch of them. Had nothing but mechanical problems, and that, of course, was before the guy named Montoya came along.
Well, he was fast here yesterday. A couple of other drivers. We'll talk about Paul Tracy and Greg Moore, the Canadians. Tracy is not crashing. Moore hasn't had the mechanical problems he's had in the past, but he's still struggling. What about De Ferran, who has raced very, very well, and Christian Fittipaldi?
De Ferran's always a very good race driver. The problem is it just seems to be, for some reason or other, that he can't seem to win. But he did win recently. He's gone fast. He's always been fast. So he's kind of like my guy I'd like to see do really good, and he may just do it this year. De
Ferran driving this afternoon for Derek Walker Racing. Highlights from qualifying held earlier this afternoon coming up here on CBC. But right now, let's go down to the pits on this Saturday afternoon. And here is Tom Harrington.
Brian, it's a tale of two drivers at opposite ends of pit row and whose current fortunes seem just as wide apart. This is the Team Penske pit of Al Unser Jr. At 37, Unser's best racing days seem to be behind him. Tomorrow, he will start in his 265th kart race. That is a record. Unfortunately, it's unlikely Al Unser Jr. will win the Toronto Indy. In fact, he has not been on top of the winner's podium in a kart race in 61 straight starts. This from the man who's won $18 million in prize money on kart racing, and that is, of course, a record. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, and at the other end of pit row, is Michael Andretti, another racing son of a racing legend. He is still a threat at age 36. In fact, his win earlier this season gave him 38 all-time, and that, of course, is a kart record. Most importantly, though, is that Andretti is still being pushed by his younger teammate and a rising star, Christian Fittipaldi. Meanwhile, back in the Team Penske pit, Al Unser toils alone. Remember, this was the team of Emerson Fittipaldi and Paul Tracy, but now Unser is alone and battling every Sunday to win any kind of points. It's been a long battle for Team Penske. Tomorrow, it will probably continue. Now, with his perspective at the other end of pit row, here is Greg Creamer.
Thanks, Tom. For everything there's a reason, and those problems you alluded to for Al Unser Jr. are directly related to those of the Marlboro Team Penske chassis. It was 1994 that Al had that great championship year. Since then, they've struggled. They even went so far this season to abandon the Penske chassis, try the Lola chassis. So far, it hasn't worked. Developing a chassis during the season is tough. Another great example is Adrian Fernandez, a former winner here. They started with the Swift chassis earlier this year, weren't happy, went to the 98 Renard, actually won one, have now gone to the 99 Renard, and again, they're chasing the setup a little bit. Ironically, probably the best team in the series right now is the one right here, Newman Haas Racing, coming off last week at Road America, the first 1-2 finish for the Swift chassis. And there's the key. They're the factory development team for Swift. They were struggling early. They seem to have got it right. Fittipaldi getting his first win in his 5 years of kart racing. And Michael Andretti, on the heels of his win at Gateway, second to Fittipaldi last week, and is now second in the championship. And he's coming to his favorite street course where he has a record 5 wins. The guy he's chasing, though, is Montoya, and Montoya has done nothing but impress and surprise all season long. Brian?
All right, Greg, Montoya struggled yesterday in practice. Up next, we will profile one of the young Brazilian stars, Helio Castroneves, who's driving for Carl Hogan. Stay with us. Coverage of the 1999 Molson Indy Toronto will continue right after this.
Summer is cool. Sun shining down makes me feel all right. If you wanna have fun, just follow me. Good times are better with you by my side.
Molson Dry. Life is cool, so is dry.
He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Wow. Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
75. Week, your men gave you 100%. Make that 110. So tonight, you're taking them for a well-deserved night out. There's only one problem. You don't have the Dodge Ram Quad Cab. It's got 4 doors, a choice of 4 powerful engines, and plenty of room for up to 6 people.
I feel really close to you guys.
Monday on Daybreak, emotional intelligence. Americans have more than Canadians. And meet Bruni Surin on Rosie Ede's personal best.
Monday on Newswatch, going the distance.
I want to know what the limits of human performance are.
Montrealer Paulo Saldana gets set for the toughest race of his life. Monday on Newswatch.
Molson Indy on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Export. X says it all since 1903. By Dodge, proud automotive sponsor of the Molson Indy. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base. Made for the way you drive. Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
That is Ontario Place, about 100 meters just south of the Lakeshore Boulevard straightaway, where the cars will reach speeds of 200 miles an hour tomorrow afternoon, about 250 meters from where I'm standing right now. Montoya, the young driver from Colombia, the big story so far in kart racing, but the majority of the great young drivers are coming from Brazil. Helio Castroneves last year was leading in Vancouver, leading midway when he ran out of gas. He switched from Bettenhausen to Hogan. Now, although Castroneves is not winning at Hogan, he has been very fast.
He's one of the new wave of young drivers on the kart circuit. Just 24 years old, Helio Castroneves is on the verge of a breakthrough. The man who hired him knew the potential was there.
He's done a super job, and we're really pleased with him, and he's very professional, and he has the patience that is very amazing for a young man of his age, so we're real happy with him.
Well, so far I've been fantastic. I'm really happy that Team Hogan chose me. Carl actually chose to be the 1999 driver this year.
In his first year with Hogan Racing, Castroneves has been in contention in several races. Finishing second at the Gateway 300 near St. Louis is the nearest thing he's had to a victory.
We've been so close that we almost taste already the feeling to win a race.
We've qualified well on many occasions, and I think we've led about four races, and we should have won 2 or 3.
If we didn't win, it's because we're not working hard enough. So I'm going to try to do my best again and try to be there, because it's something missing. If I finish it second, it's because this #1 is still missing something.
Carl Hogan has even more on his mind in Toronto than getting that first win. Within the last week, Team McLaren signed Castroneves for its Formula One development program.
And I was a little, of course, surprised with when they said my name is into this program. I had no idea. I want to achieve, when everybody talking about Formula One, of course I want to go to Formula One. But first of all, I want to achieve my goals here, which is being #1 in a kart series.
It upsets me. It upsets me tremendously because it upsets Helio. And we have a great relationship, and we want to race. And these things are distracting. We talked to Mercedes-Benz this morning. There's absolutely nothing to that. Helio's under contract to me for this year. I have an option for next year, which he knows I intend to exercise. And we'd like to just go racing and prove ourselves there and not have all these distractions.
It's clear what Team McLaren wants to do with Castroneves, and that's put him in their car. It's just as clear that the young Brazilian dreams of emulating the careers of the greats, Fittipaldi, Piquet, and Senna.
We had like a bunch of great race car drivers. I mean, Brazilians, they make like a soccer football players, also race car drivers. And when you're a kid, you want to achieve your dreams. And I want to do that, so one day I'll be there.
But whenever he leaves, it won't be easy. Helio Castroneves and Carl Hogan are more than driver and owner. They're friends.
He's been very good. He's been very honest with me. I've been honest with him. And I think that's the thing that's the most important thing, is that we have faith in each other. He knows I'm doing everything I can to give him a good car and a good team. And I know he's doing everything he can to perform for us.
He's a great guy. He's a friend. He's a dad for me. And I believe because of this treatment with me and I have with everybody here, and that's why everybody really, I mean, it's tied up. Everybody's pumped up to get this first win. Everybody's really close, and we're going to do it.
All right, Bobby, Castroneves and Hogan, a good combination. They're going fast, but if you noticed, no sponsorship on that car.
You know, nobody can understand that. Carl Hogan hasn't had a lot of luck finding sponsors, and he really should be able to. It's a clean operation, a good operation, and it makes no difference. Every year he's got a fast car.
Bobby, final qualifying highlights from earlier today coming up. As you can see by the hair, it's very windy here today. The wind affect these cars?
Good question, Brian. No, not here, it doesn't. On an oval track like Indianapolis or Michigan, for sure. But not here. You're running in between grandstands and buildings, not here.
Quickly, what about the heat and humidity?
Heat is bad. The sun hitting the pavement, if the clouds are not here, it really slows the tires down. The humidity kills the engines. Horsepower-wise, makes them even shorter life. Humidity is a bad enemy.
Well, a big crowd here again today, and as Bobby said to me, he said, Brian, this is more than a race. This is like a big old circus down here. There's activity everywhere, and to explain the weekend activities, the general manager of the Molson Indy, Bob Singleton.
Molson in Toronto's in its 14th race now, and we believe that we've captured the race fan, and we're going to continue to try to attract the race fan and hold the race fan, but we're trying to expand the Molson Indy into an event. Over in our Thunder Alley, we have a beach volleyball court that's in one of our big beer gardens, and we'll have the professional beach volleyballers down, but we also have volleyball time for you, the amateurs, to come on down and try it out.
3, 2, and 1. Starts the race. It's under off the spin out, number 43.
We have what we call the remote control cars this year. It's the first time at the Indy, and it was unaware to me that we started is that there's an association. There's Professional Remote Car Association, and they're down here on site to demonstrate, but also that when the fan comes down, they can participate also and try to take those remote cars around the track.
And a donut here by 6 spins out.
I think we're seeing a different demographic, or a slightly different demographic, a younger crowd coming down. And I think that is because younger people are getting interested in racing, but also the other things that are going around the racetrack are attracting a younger crowd. On Sunday, we've got Sash Jordan and Rick Emmett playing on our main stage. So we're really trying to grow the event into what I call a 3-day festival here at the Molson Indy in Toronto.
Drivers will be front and center tomorrow, including BC's Greg Moore, who won the opener at Homestead, Florida. More from Toronto, more from Moore, right after this.
Molson X, today's beer since 1903.
Hey! He's in the garage.
Hey! If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place?
Hey, what does this do?
Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
It's about a vision for moving earth, goods, even children better, more safely. Backed by people driven to exceed your expectations. Come ride with a leader that's taking a new road. International. Delivering beyond the expected.
Sunday.
I'm a man of science.
There is never a dull moment at the Zelensky house.
Ready? Attention all life forms.
Suffering Shatners.
We've got to get him back to normal.
Disney's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show. Then, on Wind at My Back,
Hold on to your hat, boys.
share the stories of a family living through the Depression.
You're gonna get it.
Max is trying to study just outside the door.
It all begins Sunday at 6 on CBC television.
It's an experience that's out of this world. The Benson & Hedges International at Lerone from June 19th to July 28th.
Kick off the Alouettes' new season Thursday, July 22nd, 7:30 p.m. at Molson Stadium. The Owls take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's the home opener. It's outdoors. It's the hottest game in town. It's a football party on the mountain. Get your tickets now. Call admission 790-1245 or head to the Alouettes ticket office. Take the STCUM Alouettes free shuttle bus to be on top of the action, on top of the mountain. You can get on at Metro Square, Victoria. Molson X, today's beer since 1903.
Greg Moore won the season opener in Homestead, was a closing fourth last weekend in Wisconsin. His contract, though, expired June 30th. Rumors are he could go anywhere from NASCAR to Formula One in the year 2000. More now on the young man from Maple Ridge, British Columbia.
The more and more he succeeds, the more everyone wants a piece of Greg Moore. When you're a hot race driver, it goes with the territory. And when the territory is Canada, the demands are even greater.
You know, when we come to Toronto and to Vancouver, it's different because we're only here twice a year. And so the demand is very, very high, and it's kind of a short, quick, bam, we get it all done, and then you're out of here Monday morning. You know, I've got great friends, my family's great, you know, and, you know, my girlfriend keeps me on the ground too, so it's good that way.
His life may not always be his own, but Moore is not complaining, as long as he can remember this is right where he's wanted to be.
I wanted to be an IndyCar champion, and you know, I wanted to race against Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. and people like that, and you know, to be in that position now, you know, just to be racing here, you know, in 1997 when I won my first race in the kart championship, it was like a dream come true, and it's something that it took us basically 12 or 14 years to get to, but once we got that, it didn't matter what anyone else ever did, you know, because they will never ever be able to take that away from me. And you know, a lot of hard work, perseverance, and, you know, also money on my dad's part, but it all paid off because look where we are now.
Rick Moore has driven racing cars and sold family cars. Seeing his son in an Indy car was always the objective.
If it wasn't for him, there's no way I'd be here today. He had a 5-year plan once my first year of cars, and that was he'd sponsor me for 5 years, or 4 years with an option. And so I did 2 years, Formula 1600, Formula 2000, and then 2 years of Indy Lights. And the 5th year was going to be a scrape. You know, I almost bankrupted his company and things like that, and it would have been very, very difficult on him. But fortunately, in 1995, Players and Jerry Forsyth picked me up, and
the rest is history. In just 4 seasons, he's won 5 races and earned $3 million in prize money. That record has drawn the attention of other racing teams.
It is my contract here this year, and because you know, there's other teams out there that want my services, be it in here or kart, you know, kart, Formula One, or NASCAR. You know, it's the demand is getting higher, and so it's kind of nice because you can look at all the different options and say, and weigh out what the best options are. You know, obviously my heart is still here in kart, but you know, if I had an opportunity to win, a better opportunity to win races somewhere else, well then, you know, it's something that I have to seriously look at. I'm 24 years old right now, so, you know, money isn't as big an issue as it would be for someone who's in their 30s or something like that. Obviously, I want to be paid fairly and, you know, competitively with other people up and down this pit lane, but, you know, if one team is going to pay me a little less money, but it's a better chance of winning, well, then, you know, I have to seriously look at that and say, well, you know, I've got a better chance of winning a championship here, which in the long run will make me more money in the future, so it doesn't really matter. You know, I just want to win car races right now.
Bobby, you made an interesting comment to me during that item about the chances of Moore going to NASCAR.
Well, he's not going to go to NASCAR. He would have to start his career all over again from the bottom, because driving stock cars is not even similar to what he's doing here, and he'd find that out in a hurry.
He's driving Champ cars here. Let's talk about Champ car qualifying. We have highlights from earlier this afternoon. Talk to me about the importance of tires.
Tires. There's first place is only 5 cars with Goodyear tires in this whole race trying to qualify. Totally the opposite of what we saw a lot of years now. But each tire, Firestone or Goodyear, Brian, believe it or not, only has about 3 fast laps. I'm talking about really fast laps on those tires. So you'll watch the guys maybe run 1 lap, cool them down because they've only got 2 more to go, and they can't even take off out of the pits. They've got to really take care of the tires more than any time in history of racing. They're all called gumballs today.
Unser's ready to go. So are we. Final qualifying for the 99 Molson Indy Toronto. And we have action from the second and fastest group. They went out in 2 groups earlier today. Bobby, here's Dario Franchitti, who had the fastest time yesterday, 57.951 seconds. At this point, he is followed by DeFerrin and Andretti. Brian Herta is 4th. Herta went out in the slower group earlier. This is the fastest part of this track, up to 200 miles an hour down Lakeshore. Bobby, what is this track, or who is this track hard on?
Well, it's hard on several things. This is a challenging racetrack. Number one, it's really hard on the drivers. Look at the cement walls on both sides of them. They can't see around the corners. They have to get used to it. And if there's an accident, they don't see it in time, sometimes to avoid it. Very hard on tires. The sun beats on this racetrack. It just kills the poor tires because, as I said a little bit earlier, they're like gumball tires. And that's the 2 main problems that we have. The transmissions, the brakes. Look at how hard they have to brake going in the turn. A little bit of speed right there, brake. A little bit of speed, brake. And then really fast up near 200 miles an hour and brake for a 160-degree corner.
Across the start-finish line comes Juan Montoya. Montoya, the 24-year-old Colombian, currently in 10th place. Now Montoya became the first rookie earlier this year to win 3 straight races. He has 4 victories overall, but he had trouble yesterday and does not look that fast here today, Bobby.
We watched him all day yesterday, you and I, and we particularly watched him, Brian, because he comes here with such credentials. He's the hottest thing that's come to IndyCar racing in many years since Little Al and Michael Andretti. And right now he's having a tough time. Now, you can watch him working the steering wheel there. He's really not working it any too hard, probably not as hard as Michael does. But he just he doesn't have the speed that he used to have. Now watch his right hand. He reaches over and grabs that sequential. There was a gear shift right there. It's a sequential box. They just move the gear shift forward and backwards a little bit. A baby could shift these cars anymore. The transmissions work so nice.
Baby could shift him. A baby could not drive him. Across the start-finish line is Montoya. And Montoya remains 8th fastest. See the gray cement there, Bobby? They put it in because the concrete was breaking up, but they've added something to the cement this year for better traction.
Well, in the old days, we used to have asphalt there. Boy, it was a one big mess. But now they've roughened up the cement so that it's got more adhesion, because all the drivers were complaining, like right there you see, the cement. Now, that normally would be too slippery, and what they've done is they've roughened it up. Like, for example, just say sandpapering it, which now they have equal adhesion, at least close to it, for the whole track.
Montoya following Michael Andretti, and it brings up an interesting point. Andretti says, yeah, Montoya is good as we go back on board with Montoya, but he hasn't hit a concrete wall yet. You buy that?
Well, no, I don't. I mean, come on. All the race drivers, by the time they get a bit older, Montoya is 23 years old. Naturally, he hasn't hit too many walls yet. But I'm going to tell you what, the kid is awesome, fast. Can't take it away. The entire world is looking at him because they realize this is the most competitive series in the world.
There's Tony Kanaan. Speaking of Brazilian drivers, Kanaan, Franchitti has just gone fastest today, but still not as fast as yesterday. And Tony Kanaan is now running in second place.
Just a little word on him. He and Helio Castroneves both came out of Indy Lights. Now, you think that we don't breed some good drivers in our training program? That's where these guys came from, and they are two of the fastest drivers we have today.
Tony Kanaan down through the start-finish area. Kanaan is currently running in 6th place. His best finish this year was 5th in Rio de Janeiro. Hey, you talk about Indy Lights. How about Greg Moore and Paul Tracy? A couple of the good Canadian drivers also coming out of that Indy Lights series. There is Helio Castroneves driving for Carl Hogan. Castroneves, we featured him a short time ago, 24 years of age, second year in kart racing, and Castroneves was second to Michael Andretti in May at Madison, Illinois. Here's Tony Kanaan. Kanaan is 6th. Right now it's Franchitti. Andretti is 2nd, Vassar 3rd, DeFerrin, Fittipaldi, Kanaan, and Paul Tracy rounding out the top 7.
Look at the sponsorship on that car. We never thought we would see a McDonald's on an Indy car on a regular basis. They're sponsoring Tony Kanaan. Indy's going fast, and I'll bet you they're happy with that kid.
Kanaan in 6th place. Michael Andretti has moved to a faster time, but is still second to Dario Franchitti. We're early in qualifying from earlier today. Highlights. Here's Castroneves for Carl Hogan, and Castroneves right now is only 12th fastest. We should tell you, Greg Moore will be out in just a couple of minutes.
Just a quick note on the cars now. Most of the cars are Reynard-built cars in England, and we also have Michael Andretti, who is running fast today, in a Swift. They've had a little bit of problem, as you heard earlier on, but he and Christian Fittipaldi are both in Swift, and they're going fast. And last year they were fast. Everybody expected to be faster this year.
That's Gilles DeFerrin, followed by Michael Andretti. Now, you talked about tires. Andretti goes by DeFerrin. DeFerrin, one of the few top cars on Goodyear.
He's slowing down, cooling his tires off there, but he got Michael in a real embarrassing position there.
Michael Andretti, the second fastest time, is just past Gilles DeFerrin. DeFerrin winning for Derek Walker in Portland.
Now look how slow he's going right now. What he's doing is they got to slow down, cool their tires off so they can stretch their. There's Tony Kanaan making a little detour. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Montoya making a detour. You know, some of these cars look so much alike, I can't hardly tell them apart, especially when you get in a hurry.
One more look at Montoya. This is on Lakeshore Boulevard. And at this point in the qualifying, as he simply goes into the runoff area, it's Franchitti first, followed by Michael Andretti. Jimmy Vassar is 3rd, DeFerrin 4th, Fittipaldi 5th, Kanaan 6th, and Paul Tracy is running in 7th place. There's Carpentier. We will see Carpentier, Moore, and Paul Tracy when we return here to Toronto.
Even though Dodge Ram is the bright red gold standard of pickup trucks, we're always improving things. We've made our available Magnum V8 engines even more powerful. We've improved the ergonomics of the already world-class interior. In all, we've made over 100 improvements, including this one. Our unique flow-through ventilation system. The Dodge Ram Quad Cab. The rules have changed.
Summer is cool.
Sun shining down makes me feel alright. It's summertime. Clouds and clouds will go out tonight. It's summer. It's you and me. Let your head out and see what I see. If you wanna have fun, just follow me. Good times are better with you by my side.
Molson Dry. Life is cool. So is dry. It's about a vision for moving earth, goods, even children, better, more safely. Backed by people driven to exceed your expectations. Come ride with a leader that's taking a new road. International, delivering beyond the expected.
It's an experience that's out of this world. The Benson and Hedges International at Lerone from June 19th to July 28th.
Sir Tom Harrington and Greg Creamer. I'm Brian Williams back in Toronto. Highlights from qualifying earlier today. This is Michael Andretti at this point running second to Dario Franchitti. Now, Bobby, this is Lakeshore Boulevard. Good place to pass. Explain why as they go into this corner.
Almost 200 miles an hour, somewhere near there. Now watch him brake. Brake hard. Look at him. Now another car could have driven right underneath him if he could brake better. Now Michael's brakes weren't perfect right there, and he got in a little too fast, messed up that whole lap because of that. But that's where the passing will be, or at least most of it.
Bobby, we talk about the tires, and I was saying to you during the break, there's been a changing of the guard. Michael Andretti on Firestone was a good year last year. You said, Brian, it is more than a changing of the guard. It's an outright war.
It's an absolute outright war. There are only, for example, 5 cars on Goodyear tires at this race. Now, in the years past, been the other way around or completely Goodyear done. Goodyear has a good tire, and the problem is Firestone's really come in with a good one, too. So the guys are going where the fastest tires are because we have the most competitive series in the world right now.
Michael Andretti, second to Franchitti right now. Vassar third, DeMarin fourth. Christian Fittipaldi, a winner last week, is fifth. And Tony Kanaan, the young Brazilian, running sixth.
If you look at the cement right there at the bottom of that picture that we saw there, and you can watch for it right there, you see it again. What they've changed this year now is they've scratched that surface up to make it more like equal traction between the cement and the pavement. Right there you see the asphalt that they're running on. There's the cement right there. So the guys are really happy with that, and we're going to see less problems there this year than we have last.
Andretti on a fast lap, taking a run at Dario Franchitti. And as Andretti comes through the start-finish line, he is still second to Franchitti. You talked about grooving or roughing up the cement, Bobby. Franchitti right there. He doesn't like that. Franchitti said, hey, I was the only one that could run on that slippery cement.
You know, the problem was last year, if you remember, what do you set your car for? The cement in the middle of the turns or some of the asphalt the others? It's a difficult situation, so now it's kind of equal.
Here's Patrick Carpentier, 27-year-old, walked away from a bad qualifying wreck last weekend at Elkhart Lake. Rolled the car 6 times as he crosses the start-finish line. He is currently 11th behind his teammate Greg Moore, who's running 10th.
Watch him coming out. Now, right now, he's slowing down, getting his tires cool. Remember, as I said earlier, they only have about 3 really fast laps on these tires. So in between, when they make a complete lap, they have to cool those tires off so they can try to get another one.
Down Lakeshore Boulevard, here's that great place to pass if you're watching tomorrow. They pass under braking in Toronto. This is a very narrow course, a hard course on both drivers, tires, and also machines. Here's Franchitti. There he goes across that cement area. Franchitti still the fastest based on his time yesterday of 57.951 seconds. But Dario Franchitti right now on a fast lap, Bob Youngster.
Yeah, that's Barry Green's team. They've had a lot of problems this year. This guy was the guy that I just knew was going to run away with the series this year. There's nothing wrong with his speed. They just have little problems that have been haunting Barry Green. And of course, he's doing his best to whip that.
Well, remember, Franchitti has owned Toronto in qualifying the last 2 years. He's been on the pole 2 years in a row, and with a time of 57.660, he is faster than yesterday. Excuse me, 57.624. That is the fastest time so far today.
He is just plain fast. You know, isn't it strange how some of the guys really like this racetrack? You take like Michael, like Little Al, they have in the past, Michael now. Look at Franchitti. He loves this racetrack. It all shows up in speed. The guys that just treat it neutral, they go fast, but not all as fast as these guys that really like it.
Bobby, you've raced in high-speed ovals like Indianapolis. You've raced at Mossport. You've raced on street courses, road courses. Any course that's more physically demanding than the other?
Oh, yes, and this course is physically demanding. As we go around with these cars, I want everybody to look. Look at the cement wall and realize, look at the drivers. How far can they see? Look at that. You can only see a little ways down the road. Now, they're running from 60 to 200, roughly 200 miles an hour at least. And how do they see? They have to really have sharp eyes and quick reflexes.
He has just gone faster than yesterday, but 4/100ths of a second slower than his best time today. So Franchitti still sitting on the provisional pole. Physically, Bobby, the shifting, the turning more demanding than on a high-speed oval, or no?
Well, no, not really. The shifting is so easy on these new transmissions. I really mean it. They just sit up there. They could shift them with one finger. They're really, really, really easy to shift now. That's a big gain on Indy cars since I was driving them. And as far as the steering, you don't see drivers get tired like they used to. We have a lot better cars now, and they steer a lot easier than they used to.
Now, he's on a fast lap. You said roughly 3 quick laps or 3 laps per set of tires. This is number 3 for Franchitti, who right now has the fastest time at 57.624. Final fast lap on this set of tires. Oh, man! 57.383.
Fast.
That is fast indeed for Dario Franchitti.
Yeah, another thing, they don't only get one set of tires. I didn't bring that up earlier. Lack of time, I'm sorry. But they go into the pits after their tires go away. The drivers can feel it. And the pits will even tell them via the radio, come on in, get another set of tires.
Here's Gilles de Ferran, who we understand has just gone fastest by 1/100th of a second. So it's de Ferran, Franchitti, Andretti, Vassar, Fittipaldi as he comes through the start-finish area, and 57.143.
Wow.
De Ferran has lowered his time again. So de Ferran sits provisionally on the pole, followed by Franchitti, Andretti, Vassar, Fittipaldi, Canan, Tracy, Herta, Moore, and Montoya, rounding up the top 10.
And you must realize now, that is the only fast car here today on Goodyear tires. You and I have been watching that. But he's the fastest right now. Awesome.
Gilles de Ferran, who won earlier this year in Portland, Oregon. First win in something like 20 or 50 races, actually, Bobby. His first win in 50 races, and Derek Walker, the team owner's first win since back in 1995.
And we know that's a good team. It's just the way Lady Luck runs sometimes. Gilles de Ferran is a really good race driver. We're going to expect a lot out of him tomorrow, and we're going to watch him especially because that is the only fast Goodyear shot car that we've seen so far.
Final fast lap on this set of tires for de Ferran. He has the best time at 57.143. Does not quite equal that here. 1997, de Ferran, speaking of close times, finished 27/100ths or 27 thousandths of a second behind Mark Blundell at Portland in the closest finish in car history. He goes by Carpentier, now slowing down on Lakeshore Boulevard. So de Ferran, the fastest so far.
And we must remember also, look at those rear wings. Now, these are smaller rear wings than we had last year and the year before and etc. So they have to overcome that too.
That's Moreno spinning. You got a glimpse of the cool car just ahead of Moreno. That was Paul Tracy. Paul Tracy, currently running in the top 10, is 7th fastest at this time. That is Roberto Moreno, and Moreno is currently only 17th fastest. Here's a look at it off in the distance.
Oh, around he goes. He just lost traction. He busted it loose coming off the turn. The main thing is he didn't hit anything. Now, Moreno is what we call kind of like a pinch-hitting driver. He's not permanent party there.
He's 17th. De Ferran right now, the fastest.
Has a 5.9-liter Magnum V8, the biggest engine in its class. Introducing the incredibly powerful Dodge Durango. Careful how you use it.
Hey! He's in the garage.
Hey! If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
What we're attempting has never been done.
She's sleeping like a baby.
You've seen sharks before.
These 3 are the test sharks.
Wow.
As a side effect, the sharks got smarter.
You'll meet a whole new breed.
It can do that? Bust through a steel door?
She's cool with the sharks, and now the sharks are cool with us.
Blue Sea.
Starts Friday, July 30th.
Can you taste the difference between major beer brands?
This is the one that's different.
This is a fabulous beer. It's sterile, freezing cold, gassy fizz.
The Great Canadian Beer Challenge, Tuesday night at 8 on Marketplace. Newfoundland's Dean Simon wants to be king of the ski hill.
If I had $1 million.
But he's got a mountain of aggravation. Venture, Tuesday at 8:30 on CBC Television.
Monday on Daybreak, emotional intelligence. Americans have more than Canadians. And meet Bruni Surin on Rosie Ede's personal best.
Monday on Newswatch, Going the Distance.
I want to know what the limits of human performance are.
Montrealer Paolo Saldana gets set for the toughest race of his life. Monday on Newswatch.
Tonight, watch the stars come out.
Thank you.
Colin James hosts the West Coast Music Awards.
Yeah, you better come on, come on, come on.
Tonight at 8 on CBC Television.
Cola's destiny is to inherit the earth.
It became a symbol in the quest for global domination.
The Cold War is over and the Cola Wars have just begun.
The Cola Conquest, a 3-part series, continues Tuesday at 9.
Back with highlights from qualifying earlier today. Here's Paul Tracy, Scarborough native, now living in Las Vegas. He is 7th, and as Paul Tracy comes across the start-finish line, he actually picks up 2 places and goes into 5th place. So Tracy moves from 7th to 5th and runs off at the end of the start-finish straightaway.
Couldn't break enough to get that corner done. So there is, look at the nice runoffs they have, and look at him coming right back out now.
If you're watching the race tomorrow, Bobby, you pointed this out earlier. Look at his nose. There's no mark. There's a little gold mark at the end of the nose. Franchitti's car has a little red dot where that gold mark is at the end of the nose. That's how you tell it apart from
the helmet.
From Tracy, and of course the helmets. Here's Michael Andretti. His car is the same as Fittipaldi. You can tell Michael with the white helmet. Fittipaldi has the yellowish green helmet. Here's Michael Andretti. He's currently 3rd now. We're on board. He trails Gilles de Ferran and Dario Franchitti. This is Lakeshore Boulevard.
Let's watch his steering wheel and see how much he's working. He just casually, see how easy it does that gear shift. It's so easy. You never move it sideways, just front and back. He did 2 downshifts right there. Now watch him as he comes out. He's looking way ahead. Whoa, now he's chasing that steering wheel hard. Really chasing. Whoa, look at him cross through that steering wheel. Correctly clear to the other side on that corner. Look at that. Now Michael's really working hard. I don't know if he's going fast right now, but he's working that car really hard right now.
Is that a function of the car or the race course that he's working it so hard, Bobby?
It's a combination. It always is a combination of the adhesion to the car to the racetrack.
Michael Andretti at this point 3rd behind de Ferran and Franchitti, and he remains there. So the top 5, de Ferran, Franchitti, Andretti, Vassar, and Paul Tracy.
There was our first turn. Now we're going down Lakeshore Boulevard. We lost it right there, but boy, is that a good scene going down there. This is looking backwards, going at Michael to show us what he does. Look at him sink down when he brakes. He's the only driver that I know do this. When he accelerates, he goes up in the seat. Look at him. As soon as he brakes, he goes down. Now, I can't tell you why he does that, but he's been doing it as long as I've known him.
That's unbelievable. It looks almost like he's a hydraulic. Remember those old Citroën, the French cars, when you turned them on, they raised up?
I remember somebody asked about that one time. You see him throw his hands in the air? That's because he's mad at somebody's trying to pass.
Mad at Greg Moore. Moore, currently the 10th fastest. The top Canadian is Paul Tracy. This is Greg Moore. Had a great start to the season, Bobby, winning in Homestead, Florida. He was a closing 4th last weekend at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, but the engine, the Mercedes power, is not really up to Honda so far this year.
Well, you know, they jump up and down. There's none of these engines that are bad. Toyota is a little bit behind in that they're still under heavy development, just trying to get there the first time. But Mercedes has been the best. They've been the middle. A lot of people say, well, the Ford's better this year, they're Mercedes or the Honda, but come on. They're all running really good. In most cases, you can't even tell the difference.
Greg Moore, back in 1996, was 4th here in Toronto as a rookie. Hasn't had much luck since then, Bobby. 23rd in 97, and only 11th last year as he is passed by Michael Andretti.
Remember, once a car like
That's
Michael...
Canan. Excuse me, Bobby.
Another detour down there. That's over, well, not being able to brake getting into the turns. But I started to mention about Michael. He's going around the track. He runs up on 1 or 2 cars like that. That lap is really never going to be a good one. You cannot pass in qualifying. You cannot pass one car any place and have it be a good lap. It's so competitive. Just that little teeny bit of difference will take away your fast time.
There's Tony Canan, currently running 7th. Here is Christian Fittipaldi. He's running 6th. He had a big win last weekend, Bob.
Oh, he did, too. And, you know, Christian he really did good last weekend. Montoya was leading the race, totally dominated the race, and Christian just stuck behind him.
Look at him shaking his fist at Greg Moore. He wanted him.
Yeah, I know it. That's what happens. Qualifying is a time when you don't like guys to get in your way, and Greg Moore was getting in his way right there. But I don't know what he'd do. They just can't put him up in the sky, you know. He's got to be someplace. There's Tony Canan really trying to get out of the way, but you can't do it here, you know.
There's Franchitti. Now Franchitti's on a fast lap. He is currently 2nd to Gilles de Ferran and just ahead of Michael Andretti.
You can watch his form. It's really good. Franchitti has good form around here. Michael, there's Christian Fittipaldi, yellow helmet right in front of him. But you can watch some of these guys that really get along at this place. They aim their cars more than drive them.
That's Greg Moore in the pits as he watches the qualifying on television. Moore currently the 10th fastest. The fastest is de Ferran, followed by Franchitti, Andretti, Vassar, Fittipaldi. Paul Tracy is 6th. Canan is 7th. And this is Dario Franchitti now slowing down and coasting on Lakeshore Boulevard.
Now, one thing I'm going to point out again, too.
Excuse me, Bobby, I have to jump in. Jimmy Vassar. We should talk about Vassar. I know you wanted to talk about Vassar. It's been a tough year for the 96 overall champion.
It really has been. He's been overshadowed by Montoya too much. Jimmy is a good race driver, but sometimes things just don't click. Now they're even moving personnel. Chip Ganassi is changing personnel around, moving mechanics around a little bit because maybe Jimmy feels like he doesn't get quite the attention of Montoya because Montoya is without doubt a sensation. So Jimmy is looking good here. He's trying to get the team back in. There's really no favoritism, but Montoya's been getting the most attention.
Jimmy Vassar slows down as he went across the start-finish line. He remained the 4th fastest. We understand Christian Fittipaldi has just moved up to 6th. There's Paul Tracy, or to 5th, dropping Tracy to 6th, and Tracy is in the pits watching the qualifying. Paul Tracy with a pretty good run today, Bobby, in 6th place.
Right, and you know, he hasn't been in too much trouble so far. You know, usually we see him having a few side kicks every now and then, so Paul may end up having a real good race here.
Here's Christian Fittipaldi. Christian Fittipaldi with one final run as he comes through turn 11.
Last race winner.
Start, finish straightaway. His first ever win, first career win last Sunday at Elkhart Lake, and he is still 5th. Behind de Ferran, Franchitti, Andretti, and Jimmy Vassar.
And don't get confused with a car with Michael, the yellow helmet. Boy, you can really see his helmet. We shouldn't even miss that one. Look at there, yellow helmet. Christian's a good driver. He was overdue, but he did win last race.
Just a few seconds remaining. Here's Castro Neves, his final run across the start-finish line. And he's currently 14th, and the checkered flag is out. That's it. So here's how they'll line up tomorrow. Gilles de Ferran on Goodyear's has the pole, followed by Franchitti, who's owned it for the last 2 years. 5-time winner Michael Andretti. Jimmy Vassar, the 96 champion. Fittipaldi, a winner last weekend in Wisconsin. Canan, Montoya, the big surprise, only 8th fastest.
Disappointment instead of a surprise, I think, Brian. Don't you think?
I would say so. We'll be back with more from Toronto.
Molson X, today's beer since 1903.
for these vehicles and yours. That's the Mopar difference.
Hey! He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
CBC Montreal, broadcasting throughout Quebec.
Molson Indy on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Export. X says it all since 1903. By Dodge, proud automotive sponsor of the Molson Indy. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base. Made for the way you drive. Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
Back in Toronto, where rain has moved into the metropolitan area, dry qualifying, though, earlier today. The pole sitter is Gilles de Ferrin. And Gilles de Ferrin spoke with CBC's Greg Kramer.
All right.
Thanks, Brian and Gilles de Ferrin. What a great performance. First road course pole of the season. And, of course, at Portland, you got that win. Does this signify a real turnaround for this team?
Yeah, for sure. The Walker Racing team is doing fantastically well. I mean, it's... You know, they just keep picking it up every race, you know, and been providing me with a fantastic car. I mean, today I had to sweat bullets, you know, because on the first set of tires I fell down to fourth. And I was like, oh no, what's going to happen now, you know? But Bill Pappas, our engineer, he made a couple of changes for the second set, and he started to spit. So we thought, oh, maybe we won't be able to do it. But we went out there, and I really concentrated hard, put 2 fast laps in, and got out of the car because I knew I was not going to go any quicker. But it was kind of tense right at the end, here at the end, waiting for see if anybody beat you or not.
You got out of the car with about 10 minutes to go. Did you know the track was slowing down?
No, for me, you know, you can only have 1 or sometimes 2, maybe 3 qualifying laps out of a new set of tires. And I did my 3 fast laps, and that was it. From there on, you know, everybody goes a little bit slower. So I done my try, and that was that.
Congratulations, Joe. Great effort. And he's doing it as sort of the lone warrior for Goodyear. That's got to be very special. A little bit further down pit lane, Tom Harrington has another great qualifying story. Tom?
Greg, thanks very much for the top Canadian, Paul Tracy. Of course, that'll be a big thrill to the folks here in Toronto watching him compete. He won here in 1993. Paul, how'd you feel about the session this afternoon?
Well, I felt it went pretty well. I mean, I'm disappointed that we lost a couple positions, and I'm sure Dario's disappointed that he lost his pole. But I think I feel we got a better race car. We improved quite a bit from yesterday, but we just couldn't do the time that Gilles did. But you know, third row is good. I mean, we're starting on the outside, which is a good spot for me. So I'm looking forward to the race.
Dario broke the track record in training yesterday. Today, I think more than half a dozen broke it.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Well, it's track conditions are better. You know, conditions now at the end of the session with the cloud cover, track got cooler, which made it faster. And you know, times were all done in the last 10 minutes.
What do you think now about tomorrow? What will be the strategy tonight for setting things up?
Well, we'll put our race motor in and just you know, go over the setup, change our ride heights a little bit, and pretty much just ready to race. I mean, the car's good, so you know, the key here is just staying out of trouble and not going down the runoff areas, and we should be in good shape.
The crowd will be with you all the way, Paul. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian, back to you.
Bobby, Paul Tracy said staying out of trouble. Quick thought on Paul Tracy. He's not been able to do that in the past.
We'd miss it if we didn't have Paul Tracy. I mean, he's not going to stay out of trouble, but he could still win this race. That cat is fast.
You once told me you can teach a driver to slow down, tough to teach them to speed up.
That's for sure. I would rather have the problem trying to get Tracy to slow down, not with some of these drivers trying to get him to go faster. He always goes fast.
Well, let's see where he'll start tomorrow. De Ferrin has the pole. Let's run down the grid. On row number 1, Gilles De Ferrin, a winner in Portland. Dario Franchitti, who's been on the pole the last 2 years here in Toronto. As we go to row 2, Michael Andretti, a 5-time Toronto winner. Jimmy Vasser, the 1996 overall champion, has been struggling. Christian Fittipaldi, a winner this year for the first time. Paul Tracy was a winner this year on that short oval track, you know, Bobby, in Milwaukee. Tony Kanaan from Brazil on row 4 and all South American row 4. Juan Montoya, big surprise, also on row 4 from Colombia. Brian Herta drives for Bobby Rahal, who won here in 1986. And there's Greg Moore, the 10th fastest time today. On row 6, Scott Pruitt driving for Arciero Wells, and Patrick Carpentier hoping to get a ride again next year with Players. Cristiano D'Amata, the smallest driver physically on the tour, and there's Helio Castroneves, one of the young Brazilians. Mimo Gidley, an interesting story. I'm surprised he's this high. Veteran of Formula One is Mauricio Gugelmin for Pac West. Roberto Moreno driving for the injured Blundell. You pointed out Bobby, substitute driver for Pac West. And Mad Max Pappas driving for Bobby Rahal. Michel Jourdain Jr. And there's a familiar name. We talk about Unser and Andretti. How about Parnelli Jones? There's P.J. Jones. He could lose his ride. Richie Hearn drives for Bud. And Robbie Gordon is back from NASCAR. On row 12, Adrian Fernandez, a winner in Japan, a winner here in 96, along with Gulther Salas. Al Unser Jr., that is a real story. Shigeaki Hattori as they round out the field with Dennis Vitolo. A quick word on Al Unser Jr. and Roger Penske. People that don't follow racing, surprised to see him so far back.
Oh, it's just got everybody wondering what is wrong with little Al? What is wrong maybe with the team? Whose fault is it that they're going so slow? Is it the team's fault? Is it Roger Penske too busy internationally to pay a lot of attention to his team anymore? I really don't know, but I know one thing. It's hard to be around little Al. He's sure grouchy lately, you know.
Hey, listen, I want to ask you about rain in just a minute, but let's put up the boards and show you our program schedule tomorrow. We are on the air at 1:30 Eastern, that is 10:30 Pacific, with live coverage of the Molson Indy. Bobby, you're from New Mexico. You love the Cowboys. Calgary Stampede follows in the afternoon. Then we have a prime-time Calgary Stampede special. That's at 8 local for viewers Quebec West, 9 Atlantic, 9:30 in Newfoundland. All right, a final word as we go. Rain is a possibility. What do you think?
Well, all I can tell you is if you remember back in 1990, we had rain here, and everybody was always all concerned about it and all. It was one of the best races we've ever seen here in Toronto. And if we have rain again, only thing I can tell people is bring your umbrella. You'll see one heck of a good race if it's in the rain.
What he said to me during our commercial break earlier today was, rain is not good if you're here, but it's great if you're watching on television. And speaking of watching, join Bobby Unser, Tom Harrington, Greg Kramer, and me tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific for the 1999 Molson Indy Toronto. Gilles De Ferrin has the pole. We'll see you Sunday afternoon.